Hi folks, this is Ronald. We're playing Dungeon Universalis. I'm going to tell you something about the artificial dark player today, which integrates perfectly into my dark player mini-series within my How to Play Done tutorial video series. And this time it's about the artificial dark player, or the ADP. If you have watched the last videos, we had a very depth look into the dark players cards with a lot of spoilers. The video wasn't watched that often, and I hope this isn't because you're not interested anymore, but because I've added a spoiler tag to the title of the video. And so let's see how many people are going to watch this video. And yeah, this is the artificial dark player of Dungeon Universalis, as like I already told you in the videos before. Playing Dungeon Universalis, even when you're doing it cooperatively or solo, which is pretty the same, then it's still a competitive play against the heroes group and the dark player. Even there is not a dark player because it's an artificial one, but the artificial dark player is just trying to simulate a human dark player. So he has got the same material, he has got the same cards, he has got the same characters, the same powers, and he's just trying to act like a human dark player. There are differences in this, and I think I'm going to make a dedicated video about that playing against an artificial dark player will not be the same experience as playing a human dark player. But I want to tell you that this is not doesn't mean it is a worse experience than playing against a human dark player. It's just a different experience. The quest, you play the same quest, but it's different. I think, and I hope I made you a little bit curious about this. We are making another video, so just let's focus on the artificial dark player itself, and let's start with it. And we have these great reference cards for the dark player coming with Dungeon Universalis. Everything you need is on that cards. Of course, there's a whole chapter in the rulebook dedicated to the artificial dark player, and it starts right off with all rules of the dark player apply also to the artificial dark player, except there are specific rules for the artificial dark player that are overriding the rules for the human dark player. And I've done some reworking of these rules in the past days. We will talk about that later, what I've done there. And as far as I can say now, yes, there are rules that are applying for a human dark player and also an artificial dark player, but in fact you can ignore most of the dark player's stuff. If you're going only to play against an artificial dark player, you don't have, in my experience, you don't have to you still need the information from the dark players, human dark players chapter when you're trying to learn the game. But I think when I'm going to publish my reworked rules about that, then it's just, then you can focus on the artificial part, and then you don't have to work into the card drawing and what are the hand of the dark player, because the artificial dark player doesn't have a hand. Okay, let's focus on the how to play the artificial dark player. I'm going too far away from what I wanted to tell you. Okay, you have these cards. There is an artificial dark player setup card. On the back there's on the front, and the back is the ADP, whatever. There's the setup for the human dark player, and this is much longer than the one for the artificial dark player. That's mainly because the human dark player can choose a faction on his own. He can use his or her, on his own. I will stick to the male. He can choose a leader for the scenario. He can make own adventures, and this is a thing the artificial dark player can't do. So we have a much smaller setup, and so we have to place the marker on the reserve points counter. The reserve points counter is this counter up here. And this is the reserve points are counted are the same as the heroes group's value points. So if you're adding, you're summarizing all the heroes value points together with their mercenaries and pets values points, together with their special elements, items value points, and their magic item value points, blah, blah. Then you will have a total sum of the heroes groups value points, and then you have the reserve points for the dark player. Which is meaningless if it's a human or an artificial dark player. Let's say we have a group of 44 value points, and so the artificial dark player is starting with 44 reserve points, and this is where he will get his the money and that kind. He has to play his cards by buying them or paying them with his reserve points. Okay, then we have to pay the leader's value points. This is not PV, this is VP. And so we don't know the leader yet. We haven't looked into the quest book. We'll make it then. And then we have to build the 3 decks for the dark player. And but I will make a short break and show you the quest book once again. And let's say we want to play an independent quest. Then this is something the Conductor has to play. I didn't told you that term before. When you're playing against an artificial dark player, you have to vote, you have to choose a human, a hero player, who is also responsible for acting as the dark player, the artificial dark player, who will make all the moves, who will draw the card, who will pay the reserve points, and so on and so on. And you need someone who has to look into the quest book and to set up the tiles and to see what you are dealing with, which faction you are fighting against, and whatever. So this is a Conductor. You can rotate this role in your party if there are more than one guy who wants to do this. So you can rotate it turn by turn. And let's take to you have one Conductor, and he will have to open the book. He will have to read the scenario. Let's say we are playing Explore the Barrows. An independent quest, and so he has to read the text, and he has to read loud so everyone knows what's going on here. He has to do all the setup stuff. He has to tell you to all the players against which faction they are fighting against, and the setup stuff. He shouldn't read everything what's in these red shaded boxes, because this is kind of secret or private information that should only be read when this happens. So if the heroes are going there, they see an A, then the Conductor should look into this table and see, this is secret, or whatever. So the leader is kept in secret until the end, until they met them. And except to this, there are special rules. They're not red shaded. He has to read this. They have to know when does the quest end and whatever. So you need one who does this, or you're using the companion app, which you'll have a much better co-op experience with, because you have full exploration. You only see the tiles that you have already explored. You don't know if there is a secret room, because the app can tell you, and so no one gets spoiled. But still, there's you need the so-called Conductor to set up the faction and doing all the stuff, dealing for the ADP, because the artificial dark player can't move the figures on his own and draw the cards. And yes, so we know who will be the leader, because we have to play the value points for him, and then we were going to build the decks. If there isn't specified any special rules for building the decks, we are sticking to the rules down there. So this is how we create the decks for the artificial dark player. We build an obstacle deck, a power deck, and this is a difference to the human dark player, because the human dark player will make one deck out of the power cards and the obstacle cards, and he doesn't know what he will get when he draws a card from that deck. But the artificial dark player will get separated decks for this. So we will build a dedicated power, a dedicated obstacles, and a dedicated encounter deck. And there are some rules. You will have to add 6 cards per hero, and you will have to add encounter cards to this obstacle decks, and like in Power you will do this too. You will add encounter cards to the reinforcements card in this case to the power deck, and this is a great mechanism of a great idea. I will show you with the cards in a few moments. And then you will build an encounter deck, and this is not so black magic. This is just you take the cards for these with this formula here down here, the group's value points divided through 10, rounded up, and then you will have the number of the encounter cards. So, but the human dark player will draw a special creature to his hand as a special rule when he's creating the decks, but the artificial dark player doesn't do this. The artificial dark player setup is you have to separate out these cards, the reinforcements, the thief, and the ambush cards, both of them. So you have just in your hand and in the deck of the artificial dark player the wandering creatures, the enemy spotted, and the special creatures. So you will draw 4 cards for him according to 5 cards because we're rounding up, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's it. This is the encounter deck. We will draw the 4 cards for the power. For 5 cards per hero for the power deck. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we will add the reinforcement cards to this drawn cards. I will tell you. So we will shuffle this, but I need the cards. And we will add the ambush cards to the let me see, 6 hero cards, 6 cards per hero. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12 cards. 12 cards from the obstacle deck, according to the rules. And we will add both ambush cards because we have more than 2 heroes, 2 or more heroes in this scenario. And we will have add the 1 thief card, and we will shuffle them. I don't do this, but please shuffle the deck after that. So why are we adding these cards to the power and the obstacle decks? Because even if they are obviously encounter cards, this is a great technique, because when we will have a look at that in a few moments. When I've told you how the ADP works, it will make much sense. Okay, after that we will set up the achievement point counter. The dark player has no achievement points. The heroes have no achievement points, but of course the artificial dark player will have. You will count the points for the artificial dark player too, as in the same way as we are playing against a human dark player. All right, this is it. We have done all the setup, and we have done this in 30 minutes. I'm sorry. Okay, this die is very important for the artificial dark player. This is the core mechanism of the artificial dark player. We have the Sceanrio Die. It's a D6 with a special D6. We have 2 power icons on the die. We have 2 encounter icons, and we have 2 obstacle icons. So we have a 30% chance to roll an obstacle and power or an encounter icon when we are rolling the die. Okay. This is easy. Okay, and so because the artificial dark player isn't that intelligent, even if he's an AI, he can only react to events. So he isn't in most cases he isn't doing actively something. He's reacting only when the heroes are doing stuff he can react on. All right, what can this be? The dark player will try to spawn obstacles, mostly traps, but also darkness and other circumstances to hinder the heroes group from crawling through the dungeon. And he will try to power up his minions by playing power cards, and he will try to spawn new encounters when the heroes are exploring new sections, or to attack them with an ambush or playing reinforcement. And this is when we are coming back to the cards we have not shuffled here, but please shuffle them. Alright, I will just make a small setup so I can show you how this works. let's say we have an entrance here. We have the greatly painted heroes here. I have given my absolutely best to paint them. And we have some exploration here, some exploration arrows. Alright. I'm not going to tell every rule about movement and whatever. You can watch the other videos. And let's see. The dark player has his turn, which is written on this reference card. He can play the cards as a reaction. And if you're going to activate the dark player, the artificial dark player, he will get 1 achievement point if it's hits on the start of its turn, and then he's doing nothing when he hasn't any characters on the board. So he just will wait until the heroes make a move he can react on. All right. Let's say the heroes are going through the corridor, and one of these guys is stepping outside of a safe zone. Safe zone are the 8 squares around the hero. Look at the video about the safe zones I made. Please just accept for the moment. He's stepping out of this. Oops, great action. He's stepping out of the safe zone, and now, in the moment this hero is saying that he will go here, and he's still in the air. The dark player, the artificial dark player, has the option to roll to spawn an obstacle, because this is one of the events where you can try to spawn an obstacle, and then the conductor will roll the die for the artificial dark player. Let's see. This is an encounter. Nothing will happen. If he would have rolled an obstacle, he would have drawn a card from the obstacle stack, and I will take one from the middle because on the top there are the encounter cards I wanted to show you. All right. You have, this is power, oh my god, I'm sorry. This has happened to me before, I guess. It was that kind of blamage true then. Alright, okay, we have an electric shock. So if you would have rolled the obstacle, the dark player will draw, the conductor will draw the card for the artificial dark player. See if you can activate it. This can be activated in a corridor, so the trap will be played. The conductor will reduce the reserve points in the height of in the amount of the card here, and then the card will be activated. That's it. If it would have been a card that couldn't be activated in this situation because it's maybe a riddle. Let's see. We have a riddle. The riddle can only be played if it's a chest or a door. So in this case, the card would be not played, that will be discarded, and we will increase the reserve point for the artificial dark player. That's simple. This can also happen not only if someone is walking out of a safe zone. If he's wanting to move up to a square with an exploration arrow, then the artificial dark player will try to activate this. He will also trying to activate an obstacle when the hero is trying to open a door. Opening a chest, in the same situations as a human dark player could try to play an obstacle from his hand. But the artificial dark player doesn't have a hand. You just draw the cards in the moment you have rolled for the event. That's it. So you don't play for every square. You don't try to spawn a card. It's just like I'm seeing here. You played only on the first square where traps are allowed. So if he's going from here to here, he won't roll the die for this, just only the first square, and if there isn't a trap, or if there's a trap, then the movement is over. But if there isn't an obstacle you can play, then he will go on with his move, but you cannot play a trap against him, or an obstacle card again, until his next turn. Okay. Then, let's say we have explored this. We will add another corridor here. Let's make it so. Put a great painted door over here, and so we have just discovered a new section, and this is when the dark player is striking once again, the artificial dark player. He will try to play an encounter every time a new section is revealed. Then we're going to roll the die, and there are rules for special rules depending on how large the room is. For a corridor or a normal room, you only roll the die one time. If it's a large room, then you will always draw an encounter card, and if it's in the main room, you will always draw an enemy spotted event or whatever. You have the rules in the rule book. You can read it then. On your own. And yes, so in this case, new section, the conductor has to roll for the dark player, and haha, great, we have an encounter. And in this case, we will draw the encounter card from here. And this is a wandering creature. We will check, we will pay the 2 reserve points if we can, otherwise we will discard this. And then we'll play a wandering creature. And where do we know from what kind of creature we are going to play? We will take the bestiary, and let's say we are playing against the faction of the Great Orc tribes. Then I will try to find them in this great book. Goblin clans, almost there. Alright, we have them here. We have the Orc tribes here. And we have this great feature, we have the spawn table. You can use this too if you're an unexperienced dark player or you want to have a quick play. Then you can roll for what kind of creature or creatures you're going to spawn. And because the artificial dark player can't decide this on his own, he will always stick to this table. And this is very, very important. In the bestiary, the first 2 pages, there's some information. Many people have overread that. So there are some modifiers on how to add values to the result of the die when you're rolling for the spawn table. So if you're going back, now the barbarians, goblins again, and here we are again with the great orcs. Then we have the 1d6. These going until 10, so you can't roll a 10 with a d6. But this is where the modifiers came into play. And if you have a high valued party with high value points, then you have to add maybe a +4 to all the die you roll. Then you have at least a 5, or you can roll a 10. No, you can roll a 6, but you know what I mean. Okay, and then we have a look. We haven't played a special creature with it. Wasn't reinforced, but it was a wandering creature, and the wandering creature with a 5. Let's say we make a roll. Okay, I'll do it. It's a 3. Then we have a look. Let's say we don't have a modifier. We're going 3 and 4. We will pay 2 value points, and we will spawn one warrior with an axe and improvised shield, and 1 shooter with a short bow. Great, or not, whatever. And you will see there are wandering creatures. And the cost on the card for a human dark player is always 2. The cost for the artificial dark player may be higher than that. And so a wandering creature, it's not a single creature in most of the cases, then you will have to pay more than this. And this is very, very important rule. It's in the FAQ too. You don't have to pay that cost for the card. I hope I haven't told you that. Oh my god, I think I have. I'm so sorry. Please don't pay the price on this card. The cost for this, you only have to pay this cost. Please repeat. Don't summarize them. Just pay this. I'm so sorry. And this is how it's always worked. When you draw an enemy spotted, you will check this table. When you draw a special creature, you will stick to this column here. And that's it. Then you will spawn the characters in the corridor. And you don't know where to spawn them, so the conductor doesn't choose this on his own. He can try to to read these cards. We have a placing creatures in rooms, in large rooms, in corridors, and we are in the corridor. Then we can check the priority where we are going to spawn this card is if it has range attacks, and then it will go first. If it's long range weapon, and the highest VP will spawn first. And you can see over here where to put the creatures. And I will do this live now. Let's just say we will put it over here. Very important is to leave out 2 squares to the heroes that revealed the section. Or standing against there, so this isn't possible because it's more than there are not 2 squares space between them. So in this case, it would be possible. Okay, and that's it. Then you will make an initiative roll to see what creatures are activating, and this has some special rules for the artificial dark player, because the initiative roll will always be made for the creature that has the highest amount of perception, the highest attribute of perception, and it doesn't. It's absolutely meaningless where the creature is located in the room. He can stand in the last row. And usually when you're playing against a human dark player, you will roll the initiative between the creatures that are the characters of the hero's party and the characters of the monster party who are standing next to each other. They will make the initiative roll. But when you're playing against an artificial player, you will always make the roll against the creature with the highest perception. So if there's maybe this is a dumb orc with the perception of -1 because he's wearing a chainmail or whatever, and he's staying over here, and behind him there's a dire wolf with a perception on +1 because he has sharp senses or whatever, then you will roll against the dire wolf the initiative. And how to roll for the initiative, you can watch the video I've made about it. We won't focus on that now. Okay, and now what's about the power cards? The power cards come into play when there are combat turns, and combat turns are always then when there are creatures within a 12 squares range of the heroes. Then they are all engaged in combat, and they will have combat turns. And at the beginning of a dark player's turn, when the dark player is in combat mode and in combat turn, then the conductor will roll the die. And see, great effect. We have a power icon, and then he will draw a power card. And we have a double attack, and then we can play this card for this guy here, and let's make him attacking him twice. Great action. We have to pay for this, of course, or if we can't, we can discard it. Or if there's no matching target we can apply this to, then we will also discard it for the reserve points. And yeah, so that's it. So after that we will put it away. The power cards will always be played on the characters of the dark player they have the highest VP, so they can benefit most from it. And yeah, if they have the same VP, then there are other factors. You can read it in the rule books, and this is pretty straightforward. Okay, and so now I've told you how to draw the cards for the dark player. Now we can come back to the special encounter cards we have put into the decks, and maybe you can already imagine for what they are for. So when a hero's, let's see, he's already been erased. The heroes go over here and they say they want to open a door. So they will roll for an obstacle. The dark player the conductor will roll for the artificial dark player to have an obstacle. Maybe there's a trap, but we have added the encounter cards to the obstacle decks, and the heroes are thinking, oh, maybe there's a trap. We have put the best guy with the perception to the front. He will make it. He won't activate the trap, and then we will have an ambush. And then the heroes, we have many cards for the dark player. We have a special artificial dark player section here. Let's see. There are special rules and not meaningful full for the moment here, but we will spawn a group of creatures. We will determine by the creature spawn table from the bestiary, and then we will have an ambush, and they will be attacked from behind by some creatures, by the obstacle deck, and not by an encounter. I'm sorry, the recording stopped. I got trolled by my camera. I wanted to tell you that the heroes couldn't foresee this, that they are drawing the card from the obstacles deck. The ADP will draw this, and so it's a real surprise for them if it's not a trap drawing, but some creatures are spawning. And this is done by an ambush, and this is the ambush card. We have to pay for this. And not this. I'm so sorry. We have to pay the price, the cost from the bestiary creature spawn table. And then the guys will come from behind, wherever. And this the same way is when they are in combat mode, when the ADP is rolling for the power. When the power cards are usually made for buffing the creatures of the dark player, but it's possible there are 2 reinforcement cards inside of the power deck, and so in the middle of the fight, the maybe it's just begun, it's the first combat round, whatever, then the ADP or the conductor will roll for the power, and we will draw a card from the power deck, and it's not a power, it's the reinforcements, and now they are running much more monsters from behind. And so this is how the artificial dark player can make some surprise moves, and isn't that predictable? And this is why this is a great technique in my opinion. So there can be many unforeseen circumstances in the usual play of the artificial dark player. And this is where we'll stop the video for today. There are more rules for the artificial dark player because we haven't talked 1 minute about the movement of characters of the dark player. How will they fight? How will they use their skills or use theirs when they do attacking by spells or by melee or whatever, and who's going first and whatever. And so we will do this in the next video. And I hope you will watch that again. Once again, my disclaimer: I'm not a professional player. I'm not related to the game's creators or anyone, whatever. I'm just a player like you. I've been played mostly, not mostly, but only in solo, and so I don't have any experience with the human dark player yet. I hope I can change this in the upcoming year, and yeah. If you have ever a doubt that I'm telling the truth, please check the rulebook on your own. Please read the rulebook. Take my videos as an addition to reading the rulebook on your own, or any other sources you can get. There will be some more reworked rules. There will be the new rules from the second printing coming next month, I guess. At least as a preview, as I've heard. And yeah, I'm very curious about this. And please read the rules on your own, and please enjoy these videos. If you like them, subscribe to the channel. I will do some more videos, and then in the next time we will have a look at the AI moving, and then we will have a look at my own ADP variant. I've just published to Board Game Geeks if you want to have a sneak peek. And yeah, this is everything I can say to you today. It's late, I'm stumbling, I'm sorry. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and bye.